In March 2024, the United States launched a 301 investigation into China's shipbuilding industry, which was a form of suppression against China. At the same time, the U.S. government also established the Ship Renaissance Foundation, which plans to raise funds to levy additional port fees on Chinese ships berthed at U.S. terminals. This seems to be an attempt to push China's shipbuilding industry into trouble. When international public opinion generally believes that China's shipbuilding industry will encounter an order shortage in the next few years, the situation has taken an unexpected turn. In April 2024, Qatar Energy signed an agreement with China to build 18 ultramodern QC-Max liquefied natural gas ships with a contract value of up to $6 billion. Qatar's decision makes us very curious. Why does Qatar choose to cooperate with China under pressure from the United States? If you find today's video interesting, be sure to subscribe to the Insider Truth channel so you won't miss any exciting videos. Now let's get into today's topic. In the 1970s, China's shipbuilding industry was still in its infancy, with less than 50 large ships produced annually. At that time, China was highly dependent on technology and equipment from Western countries in shipbuilding technology. This dependence has limited China's influence in the global shipbuilding industry, so much so that it is often looked down upon by countries such as the United States. Faced with this unfavorable situation, the Chinese government and enterprises began to realize the importance of independent innovation and decided to increase R&D investment in this field. After decades of unremitting efforts, China's shipbuilding industry has made remarkable achievements. Through data analysis in the past 5 years, we found that China receives nearly 1,000 ship orders every year, successfully surpassing South Korea and Japan and ranking first in the world. It is particularly worth mentioning that China has also successfully produced the world's largest floating production, storage, and offloading oil tanker, with a total length of 364 meters and a displacement of more than 460,000 tons. Of course, China has also produced a large cruise ship with a total tonnage of 135,000 tons in just 3 years, the Ada Magic City, which is nearly as tall as a 25-story building. In fact, large ships produced in China are also very popular internationally. As far as I know, the export value of China's shipbuilding products in 2023 is $31.8 billion, a year-on-year increase of 21%. Among them, the export value of the 3 mainstream ship types of bulk carriers, oil tankers, and container ships totals $18.7 billion, accounting for 58% of the total export value. In addition, Chinese shipbuilding products are exported to 191 countries and regions, and ships are exported to Asia, Europe, and Latin America. Facts have proved that Chinese-made ships have spread all over the world and become an important link connecting all parts of the world. However, China's rapid development in this field has aroused concerns in the United States. What is going on? As the world's only superpower, the U.S. shipbuilding industry reached its peak during World War II, building a large number of aircraft carriers and other warships. However, from the 1860s to the present, the U.S. shipbuilding industry has experienced a long-term decline of about 100 years. In order to revitalize the country's shipbuilding industry, the U.S. government has provided hundreds of billions of dollars in subsidies in recent years. However, these measures have not achieved the expected results, and the U.S. shipbuilding industry is still in a downturn. In this context, the United States began to blame the rise of China's shipbuilding industry for its impact. In March 2024, the United States launched a 301 investigation into China's shipbuilding industry, intending to restrict the development of China's shipbuilding industry through trade sanctions and other means. But we all know that this is just one of the many strategies used by the United States to restrict China's shipbuilding industry. Because before this, the United States also strengthened its technology blockade and intellectual property protection to curb China's development in high-end technology fields. But what is interesting is that although the United States has taken a series of measures to suppress China's shipbuilding industry, these efforts have not been able to stop the rapid development of China's shipbuilding industry. The CEO of China State Shipbuilding Corporation stated in 2023 that the total number of civilian ship orders received by the company has reached approximately 30 billion yuan, and the orders have been scheduled until 2028. At the same time, in the first 11 months of 2023, global new ship orders were 1,746, totaling 38.03 million revised gross tons, a year-on-year decrease of 21%. Against this background, China's shipbuilding companies have gone against the trend, receiving orders for 995 ships, totaling 21.89 million revised gross tons. This achievement not only far exceeds that of other countries, but also enables Chinese shipbuilding companies to occupy the global new market for 3 consecutive years. Ranks first in terms of ship order volume. Perhaps because of China's strong production capacity, Qatar now directly ignores the Section 301 investigation proposed by the United States and cooperates with China. In the energy sector, Qatar is known for its abundant natural gas resources. In order to cope with the huge transportation demand brought about by capacity expansion, Qatar Energy Group announced an ambitious plan in 2020, the 100-ship plan, with the goal of building more than 100 large LNG ships. But the success of this ambitious plan cannot be achieved without strong partners in the shipbuilding industry. In the competitive landscape of the top 3 in the global shipbuilding industry, China, Japan, and South Korea have always competed fiercely. Among many options, Qatar Energy finally decided to cooperate with China. On April 29, 2024, Qatar Energy signed an agreement with China to build 18 ultramodern QC-Max liquefied natural gas ships. As far as I know, natural gas carriers are widely considered to be one of the most complex ship types in the world. They need to safely carry liquefied natural gas under the extreme conditions of -163 degrees Celsius. Their manufacturing process is very complex and relies on top technology and equipment. At present, there are very few countries in the world that can build such high-end ships, and China is one of them. However, Qatar has signed 18 LNG transportation ships with China, almost each of which has a capacity of up to 271,000 cubic meters. This is almost the latest technology and the highest standard in the field of LNG ships. The total order value of this cooperation reached an astonishing $6 billion, setting a record for the highest value of a single new ship order. According to the plan, the ships will be built by China's Hudong-Zhonghua shipyard, but since the shipyard is building 12 conventional LNG ships, the first ship is expected to be delivered in the 3rd quarter of this year. Due to capacity constraints, construction of the Qatar order cannot begin within a short period of time. Therefore, according to the agreement between the two parties, 8 of the QC-Max ships are expected to be delivered in 2028 and 2029, and the remaining 10 ships are planned to be delivered in 2030 and 2031. It is worth mentioning that after Qatar handed over this $6 billion order to China, it directly made Japan and South Korea envious. What is going on? As we all know, Japan and South Korea, the 2 largest economic powers in Asia, have always regarded the shipbuilding industry as a pillar industry as important as the semiconductor and automobile manufacturing industries. However, with the fluctuations in the global shipbuilding market, the halo of the Japanese and Korean shipbuilding industries has gradually dimmed, while the Chinese shipbuilding industry has risen rapidly and is writing a new chapter in the global shipbuilding industry. According to data released by Clarksons, an authoritative analysis agency for the British shipbuilding and shipping industry, in September 2023, South Korean shipbuilding companies accounted for only 6% of new orders in the global market, and their past glory has become a thing of the past. At the same time, China's shipbuilding industry dominates the global market with a staggering 82% share, almost monopolizing the global shipbuilding market. In fact, the gap between China, Japan, and South Korea did not disappear overnight. As early as 2022, China's shipbuilding industry has relied on its advantages in technological innovation, production capacity scale, and market competitiveness to rank first in the global shipbuilding industry for 13 consecutive years. Entering 2023, China's shipbuilding industry is in full swing, with new orders in the first 2 months reaching 9.25 million deadweight tons, accounting for 62.8% of the global market share. This achievement of China not only attracted global attention, but also left the shipbuilding industries of Japan and South Korea far behind. Now, Qatar Energy has signed an order worth $6 billion with China, which not only reflects China's technical strength in the field of high-end shipbuilding, but also further consolidates China's leading position in the global shipbuilding market. But for Japanese and Korean shipbuilding companies, they can only get more orders from other countries by increasing their production capacity. So what do you think? Before we end today's video, remember to hit that shiny subscribe button. This way you will receive more insider information on projects as soon as possible. Looking forward to sharing with you next time.